Alright, everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Birthright coverage here. We're working our way through the Eastern Basin states and hot on the heels of the boroughs. We're taking a look at another fantastic realm here, and that is the Banshegh's realm. This is not one that's recommended for PCs. This is an Bansheg's realm, and is an interesting one. It certainly stands out compared to some of the others. So it's considered actually neutral good, first of all. The capital here, Passacht, which is sort of the one and only province, but also essentially then the capital province of the Banshee's domain, as more commonly known, undergoes its radical transformation every single night. The mountains and forests transform from pleasant to darksome and dangerous in the span of a few minutes. So now it's considered a 2-7. The law there and the guilds are all controlled by Justina, the Banshee, and then Gastus Rygart is the Banshee's wizard, the source holdings there. So let's jump in and explain why this is sort of considered a neutral good realm, but then also potentially evil as well. And we'll expand upon that when we eventually cover the Banshee in detail from the Blood Enemies book. But Justina Hoilo is a level 9 fighter, so pretty potent as well. It has an Azrai bloodline, 33, and then is chaotic good, and rules the small number of humans and elves who live in the shadow of the mountains of the Silent Watch, at least during the day. At night, the Banshee, however, is a level 11 fighter. Azrai again, same bloodline, but chaotic evil, takes over and terrorizes the scattered settlements. Now, temples. There are no temples in the realm, though the Old Father of Force has sent some rangers and some druids to the small domain, but specifically we don't necessarily know just yet what they're up to. Guilds. Justina oversees the limited trade transactions between Passacht and Muden. So there is actually some trade too in Bansheg's realm, so keep that in mind. Just again, because it stands out from some of the others that we have seen and will see. And then sources, Gastus Rygart is a level 13 wizard, so that's very high on the power scale, especially in this setting. So doesn't really get enough attention, especially compared to some of the other ones out there. Smaller bloodline, 20, but neutral good, and is Justina's lieutenant, and oversees the one powerful source holding. Now, resource-wise, not so much regency is generated. She gets some RP from her guild holdings in Muden and from Gastus, but overall not much there, right? 820. Pretty solid treasury, though, of 35 gold bars. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially for a one-province realm. Now, the army is a little bit different than normal here. So as part of Justina's tax upon her people, every adult must spend some time in the military. So in this way, she keeps her monetary taxes very light and her military costs down. Every military unit she keeps costs only about half its normal value. So 2 infantry units, considered militia. Justina also has specially trained troops, healers, constabulary, and the patrol, but they don't go to war. Collectively, they may be treated as one unit of elite infantry. So altogether, really 3 units of infantry if we factor that in. So nothing else, no cavalry, no knights, nobles, or anything like that. So, but again, given that such a small realm, 3 units of infantry is pretty solid, all things considered. Again, being more defensive in nature than her really going on any kind of conquests or ambitions to do so. Now the regent herself, and again, we'll get a lengthier look at her when we separately cover all the Banshegh. Justina Hoilo may have come from the Birthright. Perhaps when her bloodline of Azrai manifested, she fled that forest realm rather than face the truth that she is an Banshegh. If so, that would explain much of her personality. She's fiercely independent and carved her tiny realm out of land unprotected by Royal Guard. The Royal Guardians have never forgiven her for that. They spread the rumors that she is the Banshee, and that the Banshee is the true ruler of Passacht, and that Justina is merely a facade devised by the evil creature to fool her enemies. Justina, of course, as explained in Blood Enemies, and again we'll cover it separately, believes that she and the Banshee are 2 separate entities. The people of her realm are of mixed mind on the subject, but all of them fiercely love their ruler and have loined to avoid the Banshee's howl. So similar somewhat to the Vampire's realm, probably a realm where, hey, as soon as nighttime rolls around, everybody's going to be going inside. Now, lieutenants here, Durf Greenfields and Trevor Terrazal serve as her lieutenants, although it does mention here, so they're kind of contradicting each other a little bit, that Gastus is also her lieutenant, so I would consider him probably the central lieutenant here, but as we have here. So Durf oversees the militia. Trevor, as master of the patrol, is in charge of domestic peacekeeping. Both are 10th level warriors who are completely devoted to their region. So, again, for such a small realm and kind of innocuous realm, she's got some super high level lieutenants that really would be, powerful rulers in and of their own right in any other realm. So, 2 10th level warriors, again, let that sink in. Most of the time, the lieutenants are low to mid level at best. So, 10th level, that beats some of the heavier hitters in the Anawir domains as outright rulers, right? And then a level 13 wizard, which really, if we'd sort of stack up all the wizard levels, that beats so many of the other ones that are out there. And just outside of a few, I'm trying to think here. So I think, let's see, the sword mage is up there, of course. The wizard that we saw from the core book too, although she's lower level than this. So, and even I think some of the brothers mages and stuff like that from Anywhere. So long story short, like having just a level 13 lieutenant wizard essentially is pretty dang potent. So this would be one too where, again, if the PCs were running domains and somehow developed aspirations of trying to take on the realm, again, it's small, but just with what's there, the fact that there's 3 units of infantry, two high level warriors, and then a super high level wizard with access to some probably very solid realm magic. This domain basically can punch above its weight, so that should give any greedy PCs a nasty surprise at the domain ruling level and adventuring wise too. So there wouldn't be any nonsense tolerated essentially as far as PC shenanigans would go. So let's jump into further NPCs. So Gastus Rygart qualifies as her primary lieutenant, although she refers to him as a wizard ally and advisor. Gastus's main official function is to keep Royal Guard from taking back the territory Justina won from them years ago, and Royal Guard doesn't want to offend Munin or fight a prolonged war with the creature of the Banshee's power. However, so this has not proved too arduous of late. And again, as we just mentioned, Royal Guard, as we'll cover very soon here, is no minor domain, but at the same time, they would have to devote exponentially more resources than they would probably want to somehow retake this. Again, just given the power here. And that's before we even get into, like what the Banshee is and could do as well. So no one really should be, invading in Angers' realm just on a whim. So you have that working, or they have that working in their favor as well. Anyway, moving on. In reality, Justina's closest friend and confidant spends most of his waking moments serving his region in another capacity. On those rare nights when Justina falls asleep, she is an elf, after all. The Banshee emerges and threatens to destroy everything Justina works for during the day. Gastus then earns his position, and then some, by protecting the realm from its most deadly foe, the Banshee. The Banshee herself. So Gastus loves Justina like a niece, however, and to his shame, has sacrificed peasants and nobles to the Banshee in exchange for Justina's safe return in the morning. So it's kind of the dirty little secret of the realm there. And that could also, if whiffs of that were to get out, that would certainly fuel more of the rumors and might affect outside and internal relations as well. Now, the province itself, as we mentioned, was once part of Royal Guard, but is really just a scattering of hunting villages, at least when Justina first came there. And so, basically, the Royal Guard wasn't really paying attention to it, so it really didn't get much notice from its rulers. So she did then help the people to build villages and a few roads and set up a cooperative government with herself at the head. The land proved surprisingly fertile and the people hardworking. It's now one of the most serene domains along the basin. and does actually have some cities for it being even just again a one level or a one province domain. So the two largest villages, South Bridge and Tabor Mountain, approach the dimensions of a small city, but don't rival even the smallest cities of the Basin realms. So now it does have some allies, and again, weird for a Anshe's realm, but Mudan continues to support them and their independence, though the current Count of Mudan has tried to warm relations between his realm and Royal Guard as well, so that may at some point affect things as well, but Mudan, again, has plenty of things on its plate as well. Now, enemies, Royal Guard does still smart from losing the tiny province many years ago, and it has learned to adjust, however, and now only the occasional band of heroes sets off into the mountains to seek and maybe slay the evil Banshee. Mezan, the Wolfman, sometimes stirs up trouble between the two realms, but even these occurrences have started to wind down. That's one where I don't think that he gets much mention anywhere else, so that could be something sort of sandboxy as far as the DM to come up with who and what he is and what he could represent as far as interacting with the domain. Finally, special considerations. As Justina / the Banshee increases her bloodline strength, which doesn't happen too often, the blood of Azrai does take its toll. Gastus Rygart has observed, secretly, because he will not force Justina to face the truth, that every time Justina's bloodline jumps a little from the Banshee's killing of a blooded character, or by conversion of RP, the Banshee gains control for a slightly longer time each night. Also, under certain circumstances, when Justina feels particularly stressed or worried, or after the regent has not slept in a long time, the Banshee gains control for longer periods of time as well. So that could be something sort of like a ticking clock here as far as, lengthy time spent in the domain, just what sort of a progression of sort of a further descent into sort of the madness of the Banshee, or the fact that Azrai's bloodline is getting stronger and taking more effect could have on sort of, again, prolonged contact and maybe even life in the domain. Maybe the PCs do find themselves traveling here, adventuring here, maybe settling down for a little bit, or maybe fleeing from another domain, and sort of have to learn to adjust to this. Or maybe they're just, glory seekers or treasure seekers, kind of like they mentioned here, some occasional heroes set off from Royal Guard. So maybe that's where they're starting and do decide to go this path and maybe take on whatever they think the Banshee is. So there's all kinds of neat possibilities that this could take. So certainly, again, on the domain level, the diplomatic level could represent a target for expansion. But again, knowing that you'd be dealing with an Anshe, because again, it's just a lot of rumors. There's no clear facts on it. Seemingly, there's not enough people from the outside that are spending enough time here to kind of get a hint really of what's going on. So it's all just rumors and gossip. But again, that could be one too, or maybe you're sent to kind of infiltrate the domain as adventurers, or you're doing some spying as another domain ruler and is trying to get to the bottom of what's going on here to sort of really figure out what approach you want to take to relations with the domain. And again, so for the PCs, could also represent a pretty potent target. Hey, being able to take down a very nasty Anshe certainly would gain fame and reputation, but also at the same time, then probably the eternal enmity of the people of the realm by having slain who they think is there's this well-loved ruler, and that certainly would also, even at the outset, if it would seem like an easier task, hey, we're just going to go on a monster hunt, but quickly should kind of devolve into several setbacks for the PCs, trying to get through the lieutenants, and then serve as a final stand. Certainly the big boss of the lieutenant here, the wizard, and just his array of spells and everything else that he has access to would be a major hurdle. But in some case, maybe things progress to the point where the Banshee is just taking too much control, and he's having to come up with some sort of other solution to try and either deal with it, or maybe just something drastic happens and we realize we gotta try and maybe put the Banshee down once and for all, and what that would entail too. So there's all kinds of neat choices that we could make here in sort of an unusual Banshegh among all the other ones. This is one that's not necessarily just outright evil, because it's kind of a sort of a Jekyll and Hyde situation where you have this seemingly benign ruler during the daytime, but is kind of plagued by sort of the growth and sort of evil, increasingly evil takeover and hold of the Azrai bloodline. So just some neat things that could be going on here with this realm. So let us know, guys, if you have encountered the Banshee in your campaigns, how you've dealt with that, whether it was domain level, adventuring, and anything else in between, and how you could maybe use this for a template in some of your other just non-Birthright D&D games as well. So be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll have much more Birthright for you very soon. Thanks for watching.